Yo, it's me, Uncle Ricky. Look, I just finished doing a live. Yay! I had every bit of 6 people there, but you know what? I'm going to do it again next Thursday. So if you're around, try and join me. Maybe you can be 7. But you know what they say? Build it and they will come. So I'm just going to build it. So y'all remember the other part and just come. Oh, well, no. Well, you know what I mean. Anyway, look, tonight, I want to talk about, and I'm not going to talk about Trump, but I am going to talk about some Trump-like things, or a Trump person, Trump associate that was knee deep in with Trump because he was the Secretary of Staff, the last one, because Trump had multiples. Mark Meadows from North Carolina, who got indicted with Trump, just like he deserved to be, in Georgia. And he may be in trouble federally, but he's probably on that list of unindicted co-conspirators. And we're pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure Trump is pretty sure, that Mark Meadows also timed him out with Jack Smith. But that's all D.C. and maybe a little bit of Mar-a-Lago, or maybe some more federal stuff that's maybe down the pike. I don't know. But what we do know is that he was indicted in Georgia for obstruction, the false elected thing, I forget the exact indictments, but he's listed with several, just along with Trump and everybody else, the other 18, 19 people. But the thing with Mark Meadows was, like, within less than 2 days, Mark Meadows was like the first one of the indicted co-conspirators to put in a motion. And his motion was that his case be moved to federal court. And I guess, a lot of people would ask, well, how's that going to work? Because it was a state charge, but he wants to be tried in federal court. Well, it's really not as unusual as you might think it would be, especially considering that Mark Meadows was working for the president. He was the chief of staff for the Trump administration in the last couple of days. But this is the thing. A lot of people are going back and forth. Well, what good will it do? And a lot of people don't understand exactly what it means. What good will it do? Probably none, because even though it's moved to the federal court system and there will be a federal judge on the bench, maybe he's hoping for a Trump appointee or a long-term, 11th Circuit Court judge, that federal judge that, is hard right-wing leading, and maybe he might even get a Trump appointee. I don't know. But the thing is, the prosecution is still going to be Bonnie Willis and company. It's going to be the same evidence. It's going to be the same prosecution team. The only difference is it'll be a federal court judge, a federal jury. Now, that's not going to make a whole lot of difference because the jury is going to come from Georgia, so it's going to be out of the same jury pool that it would be on the state side. The courtroom procedures would be under federal court rules. In Georgia, they have TV cameras for transparency's sake. The federal court system, they don't allow TV cameras, so maybe that's the move. Or maybe he just wants to get away from the rest of the people because he knows that the whole shebang is probably going to go up in smoke. Don't know, but maybe he just wants, it's a delaying tactic. Because, okay, if they move his trial, if they separate him from the rest and try him in federal court, it's a whole new trial date, it's a whole new prep session. It's going to move things down the line, but is it going to change the final outcome? Probably not. What Meadows is saying is he deserves to be tried in federal court because he was a federal employee performing his federal duties. In other words, he was doing the job that was outlined, and he was operating under the commands of his superior. And as chief of staff of the president of the United States, his only superior was Donald John Trump, because he happened to be president at the time. All fine, well, and dandy. But that statute does not cover doing non-government work. You can't say that you are operating in the interests of the United States government when you're trying to get an election overthrown by the Secretary of State of Georgia with the cooperation of the governor of Georgia against the Constitution of the United States and the state of Georgia. In other words, it's one thing to do it if you don't know that you're violating the law, but you had to know that you were violating the law when that so-called perfect phone call was made. Now, Meadows, in a way, is trying to do the same thing that Trump is doing. Trump said, I didn't know I was doing anything wrong. I was going on the advice of my lawyers. That goes more towards the fake elector scheme, but that's their whole premise. Both of them are saying we didn't do anything wrong because, we didn't know we were violating the Constitution. Well, damn it. If you're the president of the United States, you should at least understand the broad definition that red line is drawn in the sand by what's written in the Constitution. If you are an efficient chief of staff, that's your ballpark. One, to make your master's wishes accomplished, but two, to pull your master's coattails and tell him the truth when he's about to get in the deep kimchi, get in the deep shit for breaking the law. I can understand that, doing it for Donald Trump, a man that does not take no, even if it's for his own good. Like, Donald, please don't pull that trigger. No, I'm Donald Trump. I'm going to pull the trigger. I wish. But anyway, Meadows is trying something. And people, most legal experts go, well, he probably might make it because the law is loosely written. And others are saying what I just told you. There's no way it's going to work because it only applies when you are doing your job and you're not aware that you're breaking the law, or you're trying to, subvert the Constitution. There's no way that they didn't know what they were doing was illegal. So you can't claim that you were, just doing your job as a federal employee. Wrong answer. Then besides that, if on the outside, say he did it in federal court and he got convicted in federal court, that means that he would go into the federal prison system, which that may be what he's really angling for, because I'm pretty sure Mark Meadows, Mr. Mark Meadows from North Carolina, former congressman from North Carolina, does not want to see his ass go to jail in the state of Georgia. State prison, baby. That's what all of these people, they're not facing federal time. They can't get pardoned by the president, no matter who the president is. Whether it's another Republican, whether it happens to be Trump himself, if he outlives all of these, legal proceedings. And I still say they should really research the 14th Amendment, because there's no way that this guy can be involved in all of this stuff and run for president of the United States. I know he hasn't been convicted yet, but it's turning into a dangerous joke. The joke part is, well, it's a seriously funny thing, because the land of, law and order, the land of the free, the land of democracy is being tied up like a pretzel by a madman, a dictator wannabe. And all the crimes that he has committed, yes, he has to be held accountable, but he is making a mockery out of the federal judicial system, especially in the case down in Florida, because he has one of his crony judges sitting on the trial. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed or not, the only news that comes out of the Florida case is about the incompetence of the judge, Eileen Cannon. The news that's coming out of the D.C. federal case is about how Trump continually threatens the judge and Jack Smith, and the judge keeps saying, "Stop it, Trump, or I'm going to lock you up." And she hasn't locked him up. There's reasons behind that, because I'm going to be honest, they're afraid that if they lock Trump up, it's going to set off a powder keg. Well, if you find him guilty, you're going to have to be faced with the question of what are you going to do and what is his sentence going to be? Because everything he's charged with, they're all felonies everywhere, and except I think there's a couple misdemeanors in New York. But New York, I don't know about that case. I'm glad that Bragg did it to show Trump that it could be done, but to bring everything to a successful end with a conviction that's actually going to give Trump some memorable, meaningful punishment, I don't know. Even in New York, I just don't know. But Bragg did break the barrier. He was the first to get an indictment, a criminal indictment, on a former president of the United States. But back to Mark Meadows. Mark Meadows, it's a tactical move, and I think it's more like a Hail Mary than anything else. I think the best thing he's hoping for is a delay in his personal trial. They're starting to separate. The rats are jumping the ship. They should have jumped off on, like somewhere around January the 4th or 5th, and gone to the nearest, picked up their cell phone and dialed the FBI or 911 or somebody and said, "Look, Donald has lost his mind." But no, and they were hoping that their little coup would work and that they would all be there with Donald, and Donald would reward them with, positions of power, and that whole little fascist circle would rise into a dictatorship, much in the way that, Hitler and the Nazi Party took over Germany. But all that being said, Meadows is testing the waters. Now, if it looks like he's going to have a chance, there probably will be more motions coming from more people that have been indicted, because all the people that are indicted, I'm gonna tell you, ain't none of them built for prison. None, not one of them. Prison is the last thing on their mind. Prison is the last place they ever thought they would be. Most of them had to know that even if they thought what they were doing, if they seriously thought what they were doing was a patriotic thing to do, that they were doing something that was going to take the country in the direction it needed to be, if that's what they thought they were doing, it doesn't release them from accountability for breaking the law, but at least it gives a little, I guess, an extenuating circumstance to what they did. But they were wrong. So they have to be held accountable. And the majority of them just did it for the power trip. They wanted to be there in the inner circle. They wanted to be elevated by Trump when Trump installed himself as president again. And nobody knows what that was going to lead to. Now, will Meadows be successful? I don't really think so. A lot of people say he will be, but even if he gets moved from state court to federal court, there's enough evidence to find him guilty. If he's not found guilty, it's going to be either because of a friendly judge or the prosecution team screws up, because it's not going to change the jury selection. It's going to be a federal jury versus a state jury, but it's all going to be drawn from the Georgia jury pool. You know, it's a federal case, but it's in the jury pool is going to come from the area that the crime was committed. Now, this thing of if you get convicted in Georgia on a in a Georgia trial, like I said, the one big thing they want to avoid is Georgia State Prison. But there's also another factor. They're not going to get pardoned because the governor, who is a Republican, can't pardon. He doesn't have pardon power. The governor doesn't have pardon power in Georgia. What Georgia has is a pardon board. Now, to get pardoned on a felony conviction in Georgia, you have to serve 5 years of your sentence in order to be considered for a pardon by the pardon board, unless the law is changed. And there doesn't seem to be any backdoor maneuvers to change the law just in case all of these people get convicted. Georgia is that game back in the day, Mousetrap. Well, Georgia may be a state level charge, but for these people, this particular group, it's a better mousetrap. Now, for Donald Trump, it might be the ultimate trap, because just like Meadows and the rest of them, Trump can't get pardoned for a state conviction. The president can't pardon him, no matter who the president is. And he's also, if he's convicted under Georgia state law, if they actually send his mango tan butt to jail, or mango spray painted butt to jail, or diaper clad butt to jail, he's still gonna have to wait a minimum of 5 years in a state prison, not federal prison, because it was a state crime being tried in a state court. He's going to have to wait 5 years to go before the pardon board to see if he can get out of jail. And at 77 years old, 5 years could be a life sentence, especially when you're a lard ass like Donald Trump. Also, that may not be the only charge that he's convicted of. The RICO charge, there's other charges that throw on tons of time. And the conviction for Meadows, the conviction for Trump, at their ages, it's a life sentence. And normally, maybe for anybody else, I would be a little compassionate, have a little empathy, because state jails, they ain't, if you think a federal prison is rough, state prison is, depending on the state it's in, that's the physical location state, and also the physical condition it's in. It ain't no picnic. And like I said before, none of them cats is built for that shit. But they deserve, if they're found guilty with the charges that are leveled against them, they deserve every second that they get sentenced to. Maybe these people thought that they could rule the country and possibly rule the world with Donald Trump at the helm. They thought they could control Trump. They thought they could, let Trump be that bull in the china shop, and they could just stand behind him and live off of the, just take the, live off of the mess that he made, and do their little backroom deals, make themselves rich while Trump, disrupted the whole country. Well, I guess you got to pay the piper sooner or later, and y'all followed the Pied Piper, and it's time for your ass to jump off the cliff like the lemmings that you are. That's it. That's all I gotta say. As always, wait a minute. Make sure you join me next Thursday night on the live. But as always, peace out. Oh, wait a minute. If you feel like it, hit that super thanks button. And, play with that little bar graph. Send me some change. I'm not begging, I'm just saying. I'm going to be here one way or the other. I mean, irregardless if you send it to me, but if you send it to me, I can do a little bit better. Do some things, some different things. But until then, I'm glad you're watching. Keep watching. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. Send me a comment or two. Or let me know how you feel so I can let you know how I feel. Now that all that's out of the way, peace out and God bless from Uncle Ricky.